Hello everyone, today we are going to be testing out brand new drugstore makeup. There's actually one product that's not drugstore, and it's the new Doll Squad 3 palette from Doll 10. I've just gotten so many requests to review this that I figured I would just kind of sneak it into this video. So I'm going to be trying everything on for you guys and basically just doing a first impression, but I will pin a comment down below and let you know how everything wore throughout the day. And also just quickly, if you're new here, hi, my name is Jen, and I talk about mostly drugstore makeup here on this channel, but I also talk about some high-end once in a while, and every video is completely unsponsored. So if that sounds good to you guys, why don't we go ahead and just jump right in and get started. All right, so first up we have this new primer from LA Girl. This is called the Blurring Putty Primer, and it says that it's a poreless primer and that it has a creamy texture that blurs and smooths pores. It's also supposed to mattify, minimize shine, and also it's supposed to extend the wear of your makeup. So I'm not a huge fan of the e.l.f. putty primer, but I have to say when I was filming like the swatches and the little insert videos for this, I was pleasantly surprised by the texture. I thought that this did have a really creamy feel versus the e.l.f. one, which I feel like is a little bit stiffer and harder to pick up. So this feels really nice, and I felt like it blurred the back of my hand really beautifully when I was doing the swatch. So I'm really curious to see what this is gonna do to my face. Let me just zoom you guys in so we can see a close-up. All right, hopefully you can see my pores, and I'm just gonna put a little bit right here, mainly on my cheek area where I have the most texture. And I'm just gonna blend it out with my fingers. It does have a really creamy feel, and it feels a bit more emollient than other putty primers that I've tried, which I like. I have dry skin, so it feels a little bit more hydrating. I don't know if people with oily skin are gonna find this to be a little too hydrating, but it does say that it's supposed to mattify and take down shine, so hopefully it's just gonna dry down. I'm also just gonna put a little bit on my chin. I'm just gonna do one half of my face and then we'll compare. And then my forehead as well. My forehead has a little bit of shine on it from my skincare, so we'll see if this kind of mattifies that a little. Okay, so I definitely see a difference in the mirror. Hopefully you guys can as well. So this is the side right here where I put the primer. And then here's the side without. So I definitely see more pores on this side of my face. This one looks a little bit more blurred and kind of more airbrushed. Here's just straight on. See if you can see a difference between the two sides. Also my forehead. I don't think it completely got rid of the shine, but it did kind of minimize it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I do think it does a better job than the e.l.f. one. So what do you guys think? Let me know if you can tell a difference. But I'm just gonna go ahead now and put it on the other side, and then we'll just apply some foundation. Actually, before we do foundation, let's talk about this new color corrector from Flower Beauty. So this is called the Bright Eyed Under Eye Corrector. It's $13 and it comes in 4 shades. I got mine in the shade Light, which is the lightest option. It says that it's an easy to use under eye corrector infused with skin loving ingredients. It has a peach undertone, hyaluronic acid, algae extract, coconut oil, and gardenia flower extract, and it's supposed to help neutralize and brighten dark circles. So again, I thought we could kind of do it on one side and we'll compare to the other side. So I do actually have some darkness under my eyes today. I was up super early this morning to get ready for school with my son, and this is the first day I've had to wake up early in like 5 days because we had the weekend, and then Monday was Martin Luther King Day, so we had a day off. Tuesday we had a day off because of snow, and then Wednesday we had a 3-hour delay in the morning because there had been some ice the night before and they were still cleaning up. So I kind of got into that mode where I was staying up really late and sleeping in the morning because my son sleeps in, which is great. So last night, even though I knew I had to get up at 6 for school, I just couldn't get to sleep at a reasonable time. I think it was close to midnight before I went to bed. So yeah, I'm really, really tired. But I do think this is working out really well. It has a nice creamy feel, and looking from one eye to the other, I mean, this isn't even concealer, it's just a color corrector, and I think it totally neutralized the darkness that's under my eye. This eye looks so much brighter than this side. So again, we'll have to see how this wears throughout the day and whether or not it creases, but I think it definitely does the job well initially. So let's just go ahead and quickly do the other eye. It feels really moisturizing too. It's not like a dry, stiff texture, and I feel like it just melts right into the skin just with a pat of the finger, so that's nice too. Also, I love this stick format because you can get right into the inner corner, which is not as easy if you have something in a pot and you have to kind of go in with a brush or try to get your finger in there. So yeah, so far I really like this. Okay, so I know I said I wanted to do foundation next, but I think let's go with eyes, just in case there's any fallout, that way I can clean them up. So before I do eyeshadow, I want to talk about these new Flower Beauty double-ended eyeliners. So these are called the Cream and Chrome Eyeliner Duo. These are $11 each. They come in 5 shades. I got 3 of them to try. And it says that it's a 2-in-1 eyeliner that's ultra blendable with rich color payoff, and you can apply them precisely for a defined look or blend out for an effortless smoky effect. So I really love the different colors that they come in, and I think it's really nice that you get one matte shade and then one that's a little bit more metallic. So you can kind of switch it up a little bit. I know I love using more metallic or shimmery eyeliners on my bottom lash line, so I think this is so cool, and I'm gonna just use the black pencil today just to go along my waterline along the top. And what I usually do is I start by the outer corner and I just work my way across. And this is because I have hooded eyes, so I don't want to take up too much lid space by going on top. So I just go underneath and then flare it out a little bit at the outer corner like that. And then sometimes I'll also just run it really close to the lash line, kind of tight lining it to give it that extra dimension on the outer corner. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and go more toward the inner corner. So far, I really like this pencil. It's very creamy. I wouldn't say it's like a jet black. I noticed when I was filming the swatches yesterday that it's a little bit more of a softer black, but that's actually fine by me. I don't usually like a jet black eyeliner. I just feel like it can be too harsh. So I like that this one is a little bit softer. All right, and then I think I wanna use the bronze one just under my eye. I wanna see how this looks. So, like I said, usually I like more of a metallic or shimmery eyeliner under the eye. I just think it's a little bit softer, and I definitely don't want to do black under here. So I think this is a really pretty soft color. Yeah, I think that just adds a little bit of definition to the lower lash line without looking, again, too harsh. So I'm just gonna do the other eye really quick, and then we'll move on to eyeshadow. All right, guys, I am so excited about this. This is the Doll Squad 3.0 from Doll 10. As you know, I've talked so much about the original first 2, and they were really beautiful, but a little bit more on the warm tone side. So Doll 10 listened to everybody saying that they wanted a cooler option. And even though it isn't completely cool toned, it does have a couple of warm browns in here as well. I think the majority of it is a lot cooler than the previous version. So I'm excited for this one. It's almost like a little bit more of a deeper, smokier vibe. And the formula of these Doll Squad palettes is absolutely amazing. It is made in Italy, it's talc-free, and the shadows are incredibly pigmented while still being soft and easy to blend. So it's really just the perfect balance, and I use my other 2 all the time. I would say they're some of the most used palettes in my collection. So today I'm gonna be using the brushes from my Doll 10 brush set. If you missed out on these, they are so beautiful. I chose this style of handle because I love the beach, and I just felt like this sort of embodied the different colors that you would see on the beach, the blue, the turquoise, you have some gold like for the sand kind of running through, and these are all hand painted as well. So no 2 brushes are alike. They're almost like a work of art. So I'm gonna take the crease brush first, and I'm gonna apply this really pale shade right here, just in my crease to kind of set my primer. Before I sat down to film the video, I did my brows and I put my MAC paint pot in Painterly on my lids. So I just wanna make sure that that's completely dried down with a layer of powder. I definitely wanna go cooler today, so I'm gonna pick up this soft gray right here. And I'm just picking up a very small amount, and I'm gonna start working this into the outer side of my crease and then bringing it back in toward the middle. And by the way, if you're ever interested in buying anything from Doll 10, I do have a 15% off coupon code, so you never have to pay full price on their website because you can always use that. It's JenDoll15. So I'm really loving this shade. I think it's the perfect mid-tone gray. I would just go easy with it because these are really, really pigmented. So just kind of tap your brush in a little bit. Don't take too much right off the start. You can always add more if you need to. And it's a huge difference from their older eyeshadow palettes, which I know some of you have said, you know, I've tried Doll 10's eyeshadows and I didn't like them. But trust me, this is a completely new and different formula than the older palettes that they had years ago. So it's definitely worth it. It reminds me a bit of if you've tried Sydney Grace eyeshadows, I feel like they're very similar. And they're also just as pigmented as Natasha Denona, but much less expensive. So I highly, highly recommend them. All right, next I'm gonna pick up this really dark shade with my eye detailing brush, which is a flat brush. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of this down. I don't wanna go too dark and smoky, but I just wanna sort of define the outer corner a little bit. So I'm just packing this on with the flat brush. And I love how this brush is kind of pointed because it really helps with precision. And then I'm just gonna go back in with that crease brush and blend it out. All right, then for my lid, I think I wanna pick up this rosy shade right here. It's kind of like a rosy gray. I love this one. And I'm just gonna apply this with my finger. And I love their shimmer shades because they're not glittery. I know a lot of shimmers these days have glitter, which usually translates to fallout all over my face. But these are just like the old school buttery full pigment shimmer shades. They're beautiful and really nice and metallic. And also, I'm not experiencing any fallout from these shadows whatsoever. They just really grip to your eyelids so nicely, and they don't have that dusty kind of powdery feel. So these are beautiful. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly, again, soften the edge with my crease brush. And then I'm gonna take my pinpoint eye brush or pencil brush, and I'm gonna dip into this lighter shade right here. And I'm gonna just apply a little inner corner highlight just to kind of lighten things up a little bit. I feel like my look is very deep and smoky. Not that that's a bad thing. I actually like it a lot. All right, so yeah, I'm really happy with how everything applied. I think these shadows are just gorgeous. Same formula as always. So if you have the other Doll Squad palettes, I think you're really gonna love this one. And let everybody know down in the comments if you have any of the Doll Squad palettes, what your thoughts are on them. All right, then just quickly for mascara, I'm gonna be using the e.l.f. Lash Extender. I'm still really loving this. I know I told you guys I'd give you an update after my initial video last month. Was it last month? Yeah, I think I did this during Vlogmas. I still love this. This is the only mascara I've been using every single day. And I was all set to buy a new tube of the Hourglass Unlocked tubing mascara. And I still haven't gone out and bought it because I'm using this and I feel like this is such a good replacement for that. It's also incredibly similar to the Thrive liquid lash extensions, which I think they were trying to dupe. And in my opinion, they actually succeeded. I think they did a really good job on this one. Okay, moving on, let's go ahead and apply foundation. I don't have a new one to share with you, so I'm just gonna use the Ulta Complexion Crush foundation. This is one of my favorites that I talk about all the time. I have it in the shade Light Cool. I always say I was never expecting to love this because I've tried other foundations from Ulta and they never really worked out for me, but this one is just definitely special. It has the most beautiful medium coverage. It has a satin, very skin-like finish. It looks so natural and it really just makes my skin look flawless without looking like I'm wearing foundation. It's not heavy or cakey, perfect for dry skin. I don't know how it would be on oily skin, but if any of you guys have tried this, who have oily or more combination, let us know. But I just know that on my dry and more mature skin, it looks beautiful. It doesn't sink into fine lines. It doesn't age my skin at all. It just sits so nicely on the skin. So it's really one of those hidden gem formulas that we don't hear a lot about from people, but it's so good. All right, guys, let's move on to blush. I have some new ones from Flower Beauty, and these are the Ultralight Liquid Blush. These are $14.50. They come in 5 shades, and they claim to be a gel-based tint that's easy to apply and creates a natural pinched cheeks look. They also have the built-in cushion applicator, very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury blushes. A lot of people are using this type of packaging these days. And in a swatch, I feel like these do look really nicely pigmented, but not overly so. I feel like they're kind of middle of the road. They don't seem sheer, but they don't seem like the Rare Beauty or Juvia's Place blushes or even the new e.l.f. ones that are just crazy pigmented. So I think these might be a good option for people who don't want something that's crazy pigmented and they just want a little flush of color. And also Also, I should mention that these are a matte formula, so they don't have any shimmer or sparkle like the other Charlotte Tilbury blushes do, but Charlotte has the matte versions of her liquid blushes, so I wanted to just do a quick comparison between those. I mean, they come in the exact same identical packaging, and when I swatched the Charlotte Tilbury ones next to the flower, the Charlotte ones are all the way to the left-hand side of your screen, those 4 shades. Really, there aren't any repeats except for the peachy one. The peach one from Charlotte Tilbury looks really similar to Peachy from Flower Beauty. That's really the only color dupe that I could come up with. Everything else is kind of different. So I just wanted to quickly put that out there. But anyway, let's go ahead and try these on. And I'm going to try on all the different shades so we can see what they look like on the skin. So first one is Peachy. And this one, I was a little bit surprised when I swatched it because it looks pink in the tube, or at least the tube is pink, but when it came out, it was a lot peachier than I was expecting. So I think what I'm gonna do is maybe put some of this on the back of my hand and then just use a sponge to pat it on my cheek that way. I've been doing that with liquid blushes lately, and it just gives a little bit more of a seamless result than just kind of applying it directly to your cheek. So let's see. Ooh, this is pretty. This is really pretty. All right, I'm just gonna build it up a little bit more. Like I said, these don't seem to be overly pigmented, which is nice. I think you get a lot more control this way. Okay, so let me just do a little tiny bit more. So this is the 3rd layer, but these are extremely thin layers. I think if you swipe the product on your cheek right from the tube, you might not have to layer it as much, but just putting it on the back of my hand, I'm not picking up a lot on the sponge. So I think that just gives you a more sheer result. But yeah, this is such a pretty color. And it does have this gel formula. It's not dried down completely, but we're gonna just wait a little bit and see if it does eventually dry down. In the meantime, let's do Toasty on the other cheek. So this one, I don't know, when I was swatching these, I was hoping for a really beautiful kind of brownish nude, but it has a little bit of a yellowy undertone. It almost, like my brother would say, it's earwax color, which is gross, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. So I don't know how much I love it in a swatch, but let's see how it looks actually on the skin. Usually any type of face product that has a yellow undertone, bronzers included, don't always look the best on me because I have a cooler, more pink undertone. So I feel like it can clash a little bit, but let's see. Let me just put a little bit more. I'm curious to see if I just kind of dab some on from the tube, what happens. Because I know their contour wands that they had released, what was that, back in the spring, I think, were very patchy. They just dried really quickly and they were hard to blend. I'm not getting that at all with these. I think they're blending out really nicely, at least the way that I'm doing it with the sponge. So, all right, this is the shade Toasty over here. And then we have Peachy. Okay, I'm just gonna remove these quickly, reapply foundation, and then we'll do the next 2. Okay, so the next 2 are gonna be a little bit deeper in color. So this one is Poppy, and it looks like a really fun, bright coral shade. So let's see how this one is. I felt like the first 2 were just really, really sheer. This one's pretty sheer in the first pass as well, but it kind of looks like how the first one, Peachy, did when I built it up a little bit. So that's one layer. Let's try and do a little bit more. I'm just gonna put the dot right on my cheek and see what happens. I just wanna see if I can get this to be like a little bit more intense because I was expecting it to be dark from the swatch, but I think this gel formula just shears out so much that even a deeper shade isn't looking all that deep on me, and I have more of a light skin tone. So my mind is just going toward, you know, people who have deeper skin tones. How are these gonna work on them? All right, so there's Poppy with a little bit more layered on. I mean, it's not super pigmented, I have to say. Let's do Wildberry on the other cheek. So let me just go straight in from the tube and see if maybe that makes a difference. I put quite a bit on, so let's just see how it blends out. Yeah, this one too. I mean, it shears out quite a bit and it looks really deep initially. So I think if you have a lighter skin tone, you don't have to worry about these deeper colors. I think they'll be just fine. But if you have a deeper skin tone, I don't know how well these are gonna show up. Just putting a little bit more because I put 2 layers on the other side. I mean, this Wildberry color is really pretty. I like it a lot. So there's Poppy and Wildberry. All right, so I saved the shade Cheeky for last because this is the one that I wanted to wear today. I felt like it was such a beautiful rosy shade. And I think I'm just gonna try a quick experiment. I wanna apply this one with my fingers on one cheek and see if that makes a difference versus the sponge. And then the other cheek, I wanna use a brush just because that may affect the level of pigmentation. And this shade wasn't like the deepest shade, but it also wasn't one of the lightest. It was kind of right in the middle. So I'm just kind of patting this one in with my finger. And I feel like it is looking a little bit more pigmented this way. I think sometimes a sponge can really shear a product out. So that's one layer. Let me just put a little bit more. I'm just gonna put some like directly on my finger and just pat it on this way. I also feel like when I do it this way, it's sinking into the skin much faster. When I used the sponge, I felt like it had a little bit more of a glow and it had a tacky feeling. Whereas, you know, when I'm patting it in with my fingers this way, it's drying down almost instantly. So I think application method is definitely making a difference here. So I'm just gonna blend the other one with the BK Beauty 112 brush and we'll see how this works out. So. Yeah, I mean, this also, I don't know. It seems almost a little bit more sheer with the brush. But at the same time, I think it has more of a seamless look with the brush. With my finger, I think it kind of looks a little bit, I don't know, not patchy, but like a little bit. I don't know. I think the brush just looks smoother maybe, and the sponge did as well. So let me just put a little bit more. This formula just seems to blend better when you're using a tool versus your fingers. And that's not always the case. I use my fingers with a lot of different formulas and usually it's fine, but I don't know if you can see on camera, I just don't feel like this side looks quite as nice as this side. But I just wanted to show you all of the different application methods and whether or not they give you different results. So I do think I got more pigmentation with the brush and fingers than I did with the sponge, but I would definitely go with the brush over fingers because I think it just looks a little bit more even. And also I feel like these almost completely dried down using brush and fingers, whereas the sponge still felt a little bit sticky right afterwards. Not that it wouldn't have dried down eventually, but that's at least the immediate effect. So anyway, let's move on to lips. Flower Beauty also has new lip glosses. So these are called the Gloss Crush Lip Serum. These are $11 each. And by the way, Flower Beauty, at least today, as I'm filming this video on the Ulta website, are buy one, get one 50% off. So if you're interested in any of these Flower Beauty products, I think it's a good time to take advantage. So these come in 6 shades. One is clear, which I didn't buy. I just got the 5 different colored ones. And these claim to be infused with ultra nourishing ingredients, leaving you with a high shine finish and ultra kissable lips. They have apricot oil, raspberry seed oil, and avocado oil. So they do seem to be more of an oil-based formula, and I found when I was swatching these that they look really sheer. So I'm curious to see what they all look like on the lips. Again, I am gonna do lip swatches of all the colors for you guys. So let's start out with the shade Pink Crush. So these have a more of an oversized doe foot applicator. It kind of reminds me of the Maybelline Lifter Gloss ones. And scent-wise, these smell fruity. To me, it kind of smells like watermelon candy. All right, so here's Pink Crush. It doesn't really give too much color, just a little bit. Then the next shade is Amber Crush. And these do have a very lip oil kind of feel, but they're not as thin as some lip oils where they just sink into your lips and kind of disappear. These have a little bit more of a thicker, cushiony feel, but you can definitely feel the oil behind them. So again, this one is Amber Crush. And then this one is Bronze Crush. These are not sticky either. They have no like tacky feeling. They're very smooth and kind of silky. All right, so there's Bronze Crush. I really like this one. And then this is the brightest shade, Fuchsia Crush. I would say this one definitely adds the most color out of all of them. And then this last one is Honey Crush. And this one looks like a really beautiful, cool toned mauvey shade. I really love this one too. All right, let me just take my hair out of the clips and we'll kind of check out the final look. I mean, honestly, I liked everything that I tried so far today. Oh, it just made my hair a little crimped right there. But anyway, I think the eyeshadow palette is so beautiful. It performed amazingly. I also really enjoy these double-ended eyeliners. I think they're so cool with the matte shade on one side and then the shimmery shade on the other. It's just a great two-in-one kind of a product. The Flower Beauty color corrector, I think, did a great job at color correcting. Again, I'll leave a pinned comment down below and let you know if it creased or, you know, broke up throughout the day or anything like that. But so far, it seems really great. I was also impressed with the LA Girl blurring primer. I think this, for a putty primer, it blurred a lot more than the e.l.f. one, even the Tatcha one. And it really did give my skin that blurred kind of airbrushed look. And it also dried down all the way. It didn't stay tacky. So I did think this was really nice. I feel like my foundation looks really good on top of it as well. And then when it comes to the Flower Beauty blushes, I'm gonna have to keep playing with these. I'm not initially super impressed with them, only because they're very sheer and they need a lot of building just to get some color. But I want to keep using the other shades with the brush and see if I can recreate what I got with this cheeky shade. And hopefully it was just because I used them with a damp sponge that they really sheared out too much. So I'm gonna keep playing with them. Again, I'll let you know in a pinned comment how well they last throughout the day, because I think that's another factor in whether I can give them a positive review or not. But so far, I feel like they're okay. And then when it comes to the lip serums, I also really love the texture of these. I love that they have that really moisturizing oil feel that's not sticky, but they also have a little bit of cushioniness to them and they're not super thin. And I feel like they're just gonna go away and disappear in an hour. This type of gloss usually gives me some hydration even after the shine wears away and the color wears away. So I'm hoping that these will do that as well, but I'll have to update you again down below. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video. I really, really appreciate it, especially if you stayed all the way to the end. That really helps my channel. So thank you guys so much. And if you have some time and you'd like to watch some additional videos, be sure to just click right here on the screen and it'll take you over to another one of my videos. And again, I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.